right. Is this on? Yes.
Hot mic, hot mic.
Hi.
Oh, yes. I wanted you to sit on my lap, but they said that wasn't.
Hi, everybody.
Hi,
Nice group. I love how.
We are not hosting today.
Okay.
Just, okay. Molly's.
Okay.
It's so second nature, but we're just gonna let Molly.
I really threw myself in the fire with the two of you. Like, oh, I'm a moderator with the two, like,
You're gonna do great.
majorous moderators.
We got you, sister.
Thank you.
Hi everyone, I'm Zahava, and I'm the founder and creative director of Sarah Chloe Jewelry.
Oh my God.
Thank you so much for being here.
That's where we applause. Yes.
Molly is a dear friend, and this has been a wonderful, exciting opportunity to collaborate with her. Molly has this very powerful mantra of love yourself, and to be able to take that message and put it out there was just really exciting for the two of us together, so thank you, Molly.
Oh. God. Thank you, Zava. Okay.
I would now like to introduce Molly R. Stern.
Really big applause.
Yeah, girls, come on. Molly is one of the world's most renowned makeup artists and a huge self-esteem advocate. She is a powerhouse, and to know her is to love her. Please welcome Molly R. Stern.
Hey, Molly.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I might cry. I'm just going to warn you guys all of that.
So good. We're good with that.
You're good with tears? Okay, thank God. Zahava, thank you so much. Thank you to Sarah Chloe Jewelry for putting this amazing afternoon on. I am very, very proud and excited for our Love Yourself jewelry collaboration, which drops today. Hello, we're very excited about it. So thank you so much. Thank you, Elle, for streaming this event. Thank you to Emily and Merritt for your Instagram takeover. What's up? We're so happy. And of course, to this amazing group of women on stage with me, Chelsea Handler, thank you, Amanda de Cadanet, Diane Guererero, Cassi Gibson, and Candace Reels. Thank you for being here. Thanks, guys. Okay, that's it. See you later. Okay. Okay, I'm gonna go on record. I'm gonna make a bold statement that I love women. Like, I really love women. I love everything about women. I love the way we think. I love the way we process. I love the way we do our hair and makeup. I love beauty. I love fashion. I love the whole process of dolling up women. I mean, I can't. I love Cassie so much I can't handle it. And I have been very lucky. I've had an incredible career working with all of those different elements. I started my career at 16 at the counters, so I've worked with every type of woman. I've worked with your everyday woman, and it's evolved to having the opportunity of working with some of the most iconic, admired beauties of our time, getting them ready for the red carpet or even the cover of Elle magazine once or twice or maybe even three or four times.
Who was on the cover of Elle?
Oh, well, God, I got to do Zoe Deschanel for the cover. I got to do Mindy Kaling for I got to do Reese Witherspoon for the cover. Okay, just a few. I guess my favorite part in the day's work is that moment when I finish with my client and they look at themselves in the mirror and they like are feeling themselves for that second where they're like, oh yeah. That is intoxicating for me. That is why I come to work every day, because I love so much contributing to women feeling good about themselves. It's my jam. I also harbor a tremendous amount of guilt, but I'm Jewish, so it's in my DNA. You don't have to be too concerned about it. But I do feel a responsibility that for many, many, many years, I have contributed to a very false idea of perfection and an unattainable level of beauty that every woman I've ever met, from young women to old women, even older than you, Mom. No, you're not that old. I'm just joking. Okay. Every single woman I've ever met is dealing with it and is confronted by it and is challenged by it, sometimes on a daily basis, sometimes on an hourly basis, of not knowing where they stand in the world that I feel I've contributed to. So the ironic part of that is that probably only 20% of what I do is that superficial, topical makeup technique. The truth is that 80% of what I do is what I like to call as being like a cheerleader to my clients. I'm a personal cheerleader. I'm there to support them through their human woman stuff. You know, like I didn't sleep last night, I'm exhausted, or I ate too much soy sauce and I can't fit into my jeans today, or my kid barfed on me, or I've been crying for 3 weeks because I broke up with my love. And helping support and encourage and empower them there through that to get through their own day. Because it would be wonderful if we all had a personal cheerleader. I say often, if I had somebody in my kitchen every morning saying, like, the way you just made that oatmeal for your kids, you killed it, that was incredible. You know, I'd probably have a different spring in my step. But that's, unless anybody's doing that job, that's not a possibility for most of the world. And we have to advocate for ourselves. And we have to learn how to cheer for ourselves. I remember 11 and a half years ago when my second child was born, Zion, my son, a mere 15 months after my daughter Vivian, who's sitting here, was born. So that's 2 under 2. I was exhausted. I was out of my mind. I had gone from pregnant nursing. I hadn't slept in 2 years, basically. My boobs were leaking. My body wasn't my own. And every time I saw my reflection, I wanted to barf. And I made sure to tell myself, ugh, disgusting. I mean, I was so cruel to myself. I'm sure none of you can relate. I was so cruel to myself. And I realized this is not good. This is going downhill fast. And I have 2 new beautiful lives in my house, and I need to get this together. I need to change course. So I made a commitment to myself that every time I caught my own reflection, I would smile. I wouldn't linger. It wasn't like I made out with myself, but I would just smile at my reflection, like, hey, what's up? I know you. Like I would a stranger. I decided to offer myself to just the basic common courtesy of, instead of spitting at myself, I gave myself a little bit of a smile. And it was shocking how quickly I transformed the way I felt, because when you feel better, I forced myself to feel differently. And when you feel good on the inside, you see yourself differently. And those iconic beauties, it's the same situation. People can tell you for years and years how gorgeous you are. If they're not feeling it, they don't see it. That's what my research has shown me, that if we don't feel it on the inside, we don't see it on the outside. It's directly connected. So that is what today is about, is picking these extraordinary women's brains about a few tips and tricks. I am a makeup artist. I love a how-to. How do you get yourself out in the morning, in the day? How do you do in your different things and being the different types of people that you are? How do you make it work? So let's dive in, okay? Oh, I forgot to ask you guys a question. Anyway, we'll figure it out. Okay, I'm gonna start with you, Amanda. Sorry, I'm skipping you for a second.
Please do.
Okay, thank you so much.
I think everyone's heard enough from me for a lifetime.
I do not think that's true at all, but we'll get to you, don't you worry. Amanda, on the subject of that distorted self-image subject, that line of questioning, Amanda is an author. First of all, if you haven't read It's Messy, you better, because it's so fantastic. So please read it. I loved it so much. Really amazing job. But I know I've met Amanda, well, we met socially, but I met Amanda as a photographer and the founder of Girl Gaze. So as a photographer, bird's eye view, looking through the lens, can you tell us a little bit, what does confidence look like from an outsider's perspective? And the B question of that is, when you don't have that from your subject, how do you bring it out? How do you encourage them?
I think confidence is something that is so individual, and what might work for one person that builds confidence in them might not for another. And part of the exploration of how do you build confidence is ultimately through trial and error. And it's great to listen to other people and hear what has built confidence in them. Ultimately, I feel like making choices that are building self-esteem increase your confidence. And when I'm interviewing somebody or photographing somebody who feels ultimately, we're saying lack of confidence, but it's really feeling vulnerable, right? So you feel, you can see that they feel exposed, that they feel like you're gonna spot something that they don't want you to point out. And I have a lot of compassion for that. I've been on both sides of the camera, and I know what it's like to not feel great about myself, and to either have someone taking my picture, and you just wanna rip your skin off and say, can everyone just stop looking at me? So I've been that person at different stages of my life, and And I've also been interviewed by people where I don't want them to ask me certain things. And so I feel like I have a lot of compassion for that woman. And so what I try to do is to give her permission to be flawed, and how do you do that? Like, literally, how do you do that? I think it's people feel before they see. And so your intention is everything. And when you sit with someone, or you're taking their picture, or you're interviewing them, or whatever it is, or you just have an exchange in your day, or someone you're working with, or a friend or a sibling, or whatever it is, people feel whether we're coming at them with judgment and that they are less than and we're better, or they feel whether you're coming to them with, hey, we're just in this. We're just women trying to do this, and we're all doing it imperfectly, and that's fine. You know, so I don't really have a judgment of like confident or not confident. To me, it's like, is someone showing their humanness? And my job is to make them feel okay with that, if that makes sense.
Yes, I mean, I think if every day...
Chelsea's like, what the hell?
No, I love it.
I think if we could approach every interaction with anyone as, oh, hey, I'm a human and you're a human and we're having a human experience, it would relieve a lot of insecurity that I think people have just on a general
Well, you were
basis.
talking about the media's contribution to not allowing that, you know, and I think it's so important, and I see more and more of it with diversity and inclusion and different opinions and point of views and activism and people speaking up and different voices being heard. It's definitely opening the playing field for more people to feel like they are enough.
Have a place.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, bye, everyone. No, sorry. That was amazing. Did anybody want to add anything? I mean, being in front of the camera, Chelsea, Diane, do you have any?
I mean, I hate myself, yeah. So, yeah, I can add to that. I think, I'm sorry, I'm a little sick, so I sound stuffy. But I think that it's a pattern. You have to habituate to different patterns of behavior. Like, you have to say, I'm not going to do this again. And when you start smiling at yourself in the mirror is a perfect example of, you know, to be nice to yourself, to be kind to yourself, and to habituate that, and to go, okay, this is a reminder that, yeah, I have cellulite here, but that doesn't define me. Or, you know, the negative things about me is a part of the component of who you are. It makes up who you are. So everything is a little bit special. It's not exactly what you want always, but you have to think of like all of the little things, the physicalities that you don't love about yourself. You got to lean in to yourself and be like, this is what I got, you know?
Right.
So I'm stuck with me, so I better get good with it.
Right.
And get to know myself and be proud of myself. I want to be somebody who says nice things to myself. And I'm, you know, terrible about my weight, and, you know, I'm obsessive, and I exercise like a lunatic. And that energy goes to a place. And it can go to, you know, that's not good energy if you're constantly thinking also about yourself and the way that you look. I want to put that energy towards other people.
I just want to add really quickly that the one time that I got to host Chelsea's show, she asked me to host it. She was going away somewhere, and I weighed 200 pounds. I had just had my twins. And she asked me to host her show, and I was like, hell no, I weigh 200 pounds. I just had twins. And she said, you're really going to let your weight stop you from doing something that I know you're really good at? And that was it was a terrifying moment for me, and I was like, yeah, you're right. I'm gonna get over that, and I'm gonna go out, and I said yes. But that was a big deal for me to get over my fear of being 200 pounds hosting your show that a lot of people watch. You know what I mean?
Also, it's like if you know, when you do that kind of negative, you know, repetition of things, of thoughts in your head, you know, it becomes a vicious cycle. Like, it becomes vicious, and it becomes ugly, and it's not attractive coming off of a person. When a person isn't secure with themselves, you can have I mean, we're seeing it now, luckily, in the modeling world more than we ever have before, but with bigger women and bathing suits and showing cellulite and when people love themselves, that's hot, that's sexy. You want to be around those people. When people feel badly about themselves, you don't want to be around those people.
Ashley Graham is one of the sexiest women I've met in my life. I don't know if anyone...
I've had sex with her, so I know.
Well, you are lucky, because I'm not even attracted to women, and that woman, I was like, oh
Me
my
neither.
God, if I was, it would be her.
My husband says that to me all the time, that confidence is what is sexy. It doesn't matter how much you weigh. It doesn't matter what you're wearing. It doesn't matter if you've shaved. It matters how you feel about yourself. That's when you're turned on. That's when you want to be with somebody. So excellent segue, of course. You're brilliant. It's, I'm sure, hilarious to everyone to hear you say a lot of the things you just said, because what you put out is that you're one of the most confident, most attractive, most bold women that I think is out there in the media right now. And so thank you for putting on that show for us, because it's inspiring, awe-inspiring, actually. And that's why I wanted you here so badly, is I know it's not always the case because you're a human being. So that inner critic, that person that is saying, don't go on because you're 200 pounds or whatever your version, how do you shut that up? How do you tell that bull honk, like, no place for you today?
For me, I just keep moving. I'm like, you know what? Go do something. Go get your adrenaline going. Get on. Like this morning, I got up and I went on a hike, like completely absentmindedly. I had 3 meetings that I just completely forgot. I was at the top of a mountain. I'm like, wait, where am I supposed to be somewhere? and then I went to a meeting, like, you know, dirty and covered in dirt. But it's like, I'm powerful. We're all so powerful. You have, you know, what you choose to put in your brain and how you choose to execute your day is about being powerful, about being proud of who you are, and about giving people hope and like love. Like, I want people to know that they saw me that day.
Right.
When I see somebody, I want them to walk away and go, I'm so glad I saw her.
Yeah.
Because I don't want anyone to be like, fuck, I saw her again.
Yeah.
You know? Which is what a lot of people feel that way when they see me.
No
you
way.
know?
No way.
That is
Oh no,
not
here
true.
she comes.
No way.
Anyway, let's talk to some of the
Okay. Let's shift a little.
blondes, we're gonna go
blonde.
now.
I love it. You guys are incredible. This is incredible. Okay, I want to talk about the concept of this too shall pass, which is, I think we're right there. The idea, I hold on to this too shall pass a lot because it helps me for when I feel stuck or when I feel like I do feel bad about myself. It does happen, and I love the concept that this is not going to stick with me forever. So, Diane, I want to ask you, Diane, also an author, 3 amazing authors. This one's written 5 books, by the way, but that's a different story. Diane, your book, In the Country We Love, My Family Divided, tells your story of being 14 years old and your Colombian parents being deported, and brother, right? Being deported. Yes. And you being an American citizen and staying here and following your path. So I have an almost 13-year-old daughter sitting in the audience right now. That story, I heard an interview with you where you said that to get over your depression, you decided to go big with your story.
Yeah.
And that to me was a real this too shall pass situation of like, so can you talk to us a little bit about how when you are down and out, and that I can't even imagine.
Well, you know, I think that, you know, I always had a really hard time being honest with people. I still have a very hard time. I have a hard time being honest with myself, and I think that for a long time I was very quiet about my family story and what I was struggling with. So it was like mental health issues, substance abuse issues, you know, self-loathing, because you know when you feel worthless, you don't want you don't want people to know about it.
Right.
And because I was just always taught to be quiet about my feelings and about who I was, you know, that started to really get to me. And I think that there came a moment where I was really inspired by women such as yourselves, by powerful women doing really great things. And a lot of those things were either being a part of a movement, speaking out, telling your truth. And I think that moment when I decided to share my story, I finally felt honest for like the first time in my life. And my God,
So liberating.
that felt really good.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then of course it's been a journey, and it's really hard every day to look at yourself and say, okay, this is who you are, this is what you've gone through, and you're great.
Yeah.
Instead of saying, you know, well, this happened because, you know, you're not worthy, or because you're unlucky, or because, you know, things aren't going to get better, or you made wrong decisions. And I feel like I've made so many wrong decisions along the way. But I think that there's always been this desire and an influence from others, or even images that I've seen on television or in movies, to love yourself. And I always just said, what if I, could be one of those people who really love themselves? And I don't even know how to get there, but every day I know that when I'm resilient and I wake up and I try just another day, then things always are better. And I would never be in the position that I am now if I didn't think, okay, just go one more day and just try it. Try loving yourself. Try telling yourself, like what you guys are saying, okay, you are enough. You're great. I love you.
And that's also, I want to just interject and say there's a big difference between loving yourself and being in love with yourself.
Oh,
because
totally.
we also have that problem in this town.
Oh my God. Well, yeah. Well, even that creeps inside me sometimes. I'm like, oh my God, my nose is this and my nose is that. And then I'm like, why the fuck am I thinking about myself so much? Let me think about others. And that, I think, really has helped me get, to a better place myself, is because I started thinking, well, I want to help others. And, what does that feel like?
to
The
me,
best way to help
please.
I mean, I found for myself, like, I spent a year in juvie when I was 14, and it was a really, life-changing experience, and also dealt with addiction and depression and same things. And for me, the best way to put that experience to use was to be of service to other people. Because as you know, when you sit with someone else that has mental health challenges or sexual abuse or whatever the issue is, and you're able to look at them in the eye and say, I know how you feel, and they know that you know how they feel, somehow that experience for you becomes a gift, because you can then guide them and support them, and they can look at you and say, wow, she made it through this. She survived it, and if she did, maybe I can. And that's the significance of you sharing your story, of all of us sharing our stories, is that other people can hear us and hope that maybe they can survive too.
It's a rope. It's a rope for them to grab
It really
onto.
has to be one hand in front and one hand behind.
Right.
Yeah, there's so much power in sharing that with others, so that you're not so alone in this whole thing. You're not alone.
Well,
We have
that's
this huge
right.
community.
That we are not alone. And that's the thing, like in the specific issues of the I hate myself issue, no one is alone. That's what I promise you. The amount of women that I have met, the amount of conversations that I've had, no one is alone in that feeling. And so if we can all spread that out a little bit and explain, like, hey, I have been there, and guess what? I woke up the next day and I felt better. So, and I also love the concept of we get to rewrite our story. Like, we don't have to be victims of a story. It might be part of our story, but we get to, on any given day, decide, you know what, my story's gonna be different today. I'm gonna take a right instead of a left. Or I'm gonna stand up instead of sitting down. And that is like tremendous power. So here I go. Waterworks a coming. Forget about it. Okay. Okay, thank you. That is very inspiring. Please keep telling your story, because it's absolutely unbelievable. I mean, you're incredible. Okay. Hi. Can we talk about your makeup for 1 second, Cassie? Tell us, give us the background, please.
Yeah, one of my friends, I moved to LA because I was working in fashion in New York, and then I moved out here because I thought there was some interesting things happening. This morning I went and I had a shoot that I was modeling for a dear friend, and she had this like kind of surrealist jewelry line and said, Cassie, you'd be perfect.
She was right.
I was running late, and then I told them, I said, it's for Molly Stern. They said, actually keep it on.
Yeah.
See what she says. And so, yeah, here it is.
So she walked in. I was like, I hope you're not planning to change your makeup for the panel. Thank you for not changing
I
your
really
makeup.
enjoy it. I hope you guys
You look amazing. Okay, Cassie, I want to ask you a question that's actually very near and dear to me. Obviously, all of these questions are near and dear, but Cassie is an art director and a painter. Yes. I want to talk about the connection between creativity and self-love. I read this quote in Psychology Today. It says, none of us knows whether our work will end up being great or not great, remembered or forgotten, but we are in control of that steady work process that is engendered by believing in ourselves and in our lives, and by respecting the work we have undertaken. I know for me, 90% of my hopes and dreams of being the artist that I know that I am get derailed before I take the pen to the paper or the paintbrush to the canvas. because it's not going to look the same. It doesn't come out as it is in my head, or the thoughts sounded better in my head before I tried to write them. How important is loving yourself to break through to do the work?
It's everything. Like, you know, I think a lot about knowing thyself, you know, and the work is never done. And I think there's a fine balance. Like, I feel like, you know, I have artist friends who live this very kind of, for me, it's a little bit of a rough life, you know, like they don't get enough sleep, they're not eating balanced, and I always come from a place of holistic. Even though, like, yeah, I enjoy some wine and some cigarettes, you know, but like, I just feel like it's like we live in this day and age of like anxiety, and I think that that's taken over, and people are often looking for ways to like, I think we live in a culture of excess pretty much, and it's like everyone needs to do the juice fasting and like the yogaing, and it's like, when are we really just like sitting down with ourselves and like learning more? Like, I feel like we have, just like we're curious about taking up a subject, we have to be curious about ourselves. So for me, the love of self comes from my daily, which is like making my breakfast or like my interaction in the garden. Like, I'm drawing inspiration from everything. It's color, it's my friends, it's maybe something I've read that evening, it's me thinking about my family, my past, my future. So that is all, and I know that everyone has a unique story. So for me, that comes through the work. Like, it's not just about like making the work, it's really about self. And I think that's tied with love.
Beautiful. Anybody else want to add to that?
I mean, it's an interesting question about how necessary is self-love to be able to create, and I don't think it's necessary, personally. I mean, you think about some of the greatest albums, don't tell me Kurt Cobain loved himself.
He's having a hard time, I think.
Yeah, I mean, you know, there are so many great artists who were tormented. I mean, the history is filled with them, and they still are able to produce something. Is that the optimal? No. Like, do you end up like a shorter life? For sure. But I'm just saying, creatively, some of the most prolific creations have come from immense pain as well.
And self-hatred.
Right.
Really. So that's, I think, a really interesting point. And as an artist, because for many years, especially as a teenager, I was like, well, I have to be depressed, right? If I'm going to be an artist, I've got to be depressed.
I would not be happy if you came to do my makeup and you were like depressed and pissed.
Right. Well,
I'd be like, oh no, do not send me Molly. She's a real bummer.
She's a bummer. And so I struggled with, I want to be an artist, but how am I supposed to be an artist if I'm not miserable and want to kill myself?
Right.
Because a lot of my favorite art is about misery, and most of them killed themselves.
Well,
yeah,
I
all
also
the
feel
female
it's
artists I
the
love.
story you're trying to tell too. It's like, what's your message? And it's like we have to think about our message in this lifetime, you know. And like, my partner is a painter too, but he's exactly opposite of me. Like, he drinks, he smokes, like he drunk drives. Like, it's totally hectic.
Oh my God, he better
Guys,
not be
stay off the
watching.
You know what I mean? But like, for me, it's like, you know, everyone's like, how do you keep up? Like, you're such a saint next to him, you know. But it's like, I feel like my aura, my being is very maternal. So it's like, I can't separate that from the work. So it's like, yeah, to be an artist, you don't necessarily have to love yourself, but do you love what you do? Yeah, ultimately, I'll drive some passion, and I think that comes from within, and that's godly, you know.
Beautiful. I love it, that same article that I was quoting before. It says, honor yourself and your work as if the world depended on it. And I think that goes for, I'm having a bad day and miserable and gonna maybe make the greatest painting of my life, or I'm having the greatest day of my life and gonna write the most beautiful song ever written. I've never felt love before. I mean, we know John Lennon, like my hero, wrote the best songs of being in love and coming from that place. So, okay, beautiful, thank you. Okay, Candace. What a breath of fresh air this one is. Can you stand it? Candace is, I love you so much. I'm so inspired by you. Candace is an activist and the founder of the Female Collective website and Instagram. So incredibly inspiring.
It's so good.
It is so good, you guys.
She is so awesome.
She is so awesome. And so I feel like we are soul sisters. Nice to meet you, that we're soul sisters.
I love that.
Okay, great. I saw this quote from David and I, my husband did some research to root it back to Caroline Caldwell. She says, in a society that profits from your self-doubt, liking yourself is a rebellious act, which I thought was so good. And I'm a fan of punk rock, so I support a healthy rebellion. To me, you are such a brave new voice in this forum of modern feminism. And I'd love to know from you, how do you take on, you preach self-love a lot. It's a big, empowering and empower yourself and self-love. That's like your mantras also. So in a society, you know, that is constantly marginalizing us, our healthcare is being undermined, our emotions and experiences are being devalued. How important is it? Why is it important? Why is it your message to love yourself in the broader scheme of the women's movement and who we are as a society and the bigger goal that you're, you know, that you're a voice to?
Hi. So I started Female Collective about 2 years ago. I had turned 26. And I was going through like a weird, I was being very dramatic. I was going through like a weird transition. I was like, nothing's inspiring me. I don't feel good about myself. And so I went, being a millennial, I went online and see let me go on here and see what's gonna inspire me. I didn't see anything that really spoke to me. And so I was like, you know what, I'm just gonna start my own little account. You know, I'm not gonna tell anyone, it's just gonna be for me. I'm gonna post stuff that I like, that helps me get through the day and feel better about myself. Next thing you know, it starts growing and you start seeing all these women really they're like, oh, I needed that, oh, thank you for posting this. So I feel like really loving yourself and it's so important in this day with everything that's going on is because every day we wake up to some news that's just draining and just is this really happening right now? And so if you feel good about yourself, then you're gonna wanna put good energy out there, and that's what it's all about. It's if we all collectively as women feel good about ourselves and put out good energy, then we're able to create amazing things and get stuff done. And I feel like that's what happened with the Women's March. After that horrific day of when he got elected, I don't like to say his name, but because it's just, yeah, no. So after that, this woman went on Facebook and was like, you know what? We're gonna march in DC. It was just this, she was in Hawaii, and she's like, we're gonna march in DC. She didn't think anyone was gonna join her. Next thing you know, she wakes up, next day, all these people are like, yes, let's do it. And so that energy created the Women's March, and she was like, let's go get stuff done. And I feel like it's just, social media is so big to me. I know it could be a very dark and scary place. So that's why with Female Collective, I wanted to make sure that it was a safe space for women, and that we're all on our phones. We're constantly on, I know I'm always on Instagram, so why not make it a place where we go on there every day and we get to see amazing stuff happening and post things that inspire us and other women out there to do the same. Yeah.
On the truth. My family always says if you sneeze after someone says something brilliant, then you're sneezing on the truth. Look, I said we're Jews, we're weird. What can I tell you? That is beautiful. I love it, and it's working because you are definitely inspiring me. And I love my mother. You know, was part of the original women's movement. I was in her arm with. She was the vice president of her chapter of Now, and so feminism has been a big part of my life and growing up. And it's very inspiring how you're interpreting it and how you're sharing it. So please don't stop. Please keep it up. It's incredible.
I just want to say that, I know Candace from the Female Collective and from working with Girl Gaze with us. And, you do have an amazing, needed voice right now. And just to talk to the kind of collective power of women's voices, I think what we're seeing currently with so many people speaking up about sexual assault, whether it's the Me Too movement or, this is again an example of the power of women collectively saying, we don't want this anymore, we're not standing for this anymore. And it took those first women to come out and risk being vulnerable for other people to be able to identify and look at them and say, okay, if she can come out and be vulnerable, I can. And it has been an amazing chain reaction globally. I mean, we live here, so we see what's happening here, but it's globally that this is happening. And that, again, is the collective power of women. Yet again, we had the Women's March, and I would go so far as to say that the Me Too movement is as powerful and has had as much impact and will continue to, because there are so many more people to be outed. We all know that, and we all know that more is coming. Every single day I wake up like, I mean, I know some of the people who are getting outed, and I know they're getting outed because I hear about it beforehand, but sometimes I wake up and I'm like, damn, him too? And we are in a powerful, powerful time for women where I don't think our voices have carried this much weight since first wave feminism, and it is something for all of us to embrace and to take part in and to take seriously, because the women who have gone before us for generations, it's their shoulders we're standing on. This didn't happen overnight. It happened from all these women for generations who have fought for us to be where we are today, that for the first time a woman can stand up and say, I was sexually assaulted, and she isn't shamed, she isn't made wrong, she isn't marginalized, and she isn't blacklisted. This is the first time historically that this has happened, and it's an amazing time to be a woman.
Yeah, that is for sure. Hallelujah. Hey, ladies. What's up? Okay. I wonder, do we have any questions? Is Zahava out there? Do we have any questions, or are we going to? I'm getting the no, we are not going to the questions. Okay, that's great. So I have more questions. Don't worry, guys. I've got that. Okay. Okay, so now I'm going to just open it up so anybody can please chime in as you can. Going off of the subject of do you have to love yourself to make great art, how does forgiveness play a role in self-love? A little serious.
Wow. I think forgiveness is like other things. Sorry. I think forgiveness is like other things you have to practice to get good at. You have to practice at forgiving yourself, to understand what it means to forgive yourself, and then get good at forgiving yourself. Because if we just do things enough times, it's like going to the gym. You just have to incorporate that into part of your routine, and then you get good at it. And then it becomes second nature. So I think any positive habits that you can accumulate over time, which takes time because, you guys are younger and you're coming from such a positive place, I didn't have that wisdom at that age. I don't know what I was doing at that age, but I
think I know what you were doing.
I think we all know what I was doing and what I'm still doing. But I think that, you have to just practice the good habits that reward you and that feed your soul. And that, it's funny to hear about miserable people creating wonderful things, because obviously that's a fact and that's happened over time, for thousands, since the beginning of time. But I equate my success with being happy and positive. I can't, if I'm in a bad spot, I can't do anything creative. I can't even get, I can't be. So I have to be happy to produce. So I'm not the tortured artist, I'm the opposite. Right, well, it's up to me to be in a good mood all the time for myself.
Right, so that's me too, but there haven't been a ton of examples of that, I feel like, creatively. I think that is a new wave. I think it is a feminist wave to be able to honor, I actually feel good. I actually want to feel good.
That's okay too.
Yeah, that exactly.
It's like forgiving yourself for quote unquote failing or not meeting your goal that day and then trying again. That is forgiving yourself. That it's saying, okay, I messed up, but now I'm just going to try again. And that, I think, yes, develops over time, and then once you see that you do that and you see success in it, because there's no way that you're gonna keep on failing if you keep on getting better and you're trying. Right.
I never met a successful woman who didn't fail repeatedly on the way to success. Yeah. That just has never happened yet.
And some failures are successes.
Right.
Totally. Some failures are like, you have to be loud about failing. People don't want, they want to.
That's the name of your next book. Be loud about failing.
Be loud about failing.
I failed my driver's license twice, and it's I feel pretty good about it.
Were you expecting to fail more?
No, I feel like the third time, but even if I did fail the third time, like,
The written test or the actual driving
the
test?
driving bit. And they've both been like, I shouldn't have failed, but like certain things happened, you know, but I wasn't upset. Like, I wanted to cry my second time, and I was like, wait, why? Like, this is just like reason for me to be better, you know?
I definitely have had that experience many times in life where I really suffered from thinking that I had failed, really suffered from thinking I blew it, that I lost my chances or whatever.
Your
And
one chance.
my one chance,
Yeah.
right. I blew it. I messed it up, and now I'm only this. I will never be that. And really defining myself by this failure. And then, you know, a month later or 5 years later, like, oh, I didn't fail. I gained experience.
Right.
So that I could
but I
do it
also-
differently and better and
But I
smarter.
also
and
want to say that it's
fail
not
again.
our fault that we feel like if we don't do it perfectly that one time, like that's our shot. Because in so many instances, it is that much harder for women to succeed in whatever job it is, running a company, being on TV, having your own show, you know, writing a book, being an, you know, it is so much harder for us. That's just factually that we are conditioned to think, shit, if I get a foot in the door, if I get a shirt in the if I get a foot in the door, I better make sure that I stay in that room. And, you know, because I might not get another chance, or it was so hard to get in this room. And I think that's part of the conditioning that we need to change, which is, you know what? I can go in that room again, or I can go in a different room. This isn't the one shot, you know?
Well, really trusting and having faith that there will be another shot. And that's the
And if
rope
not,
again.
make it.
Right, create the
I
shot.
also feel like we don't really live in a culture of letting go. Like, I feel like the West, like, sticks to things more. Like, in Eastern philosophy, it's like failure is a part of it. It's like, there's like more of like darker concepts that are a part of life, and you don't get upset about it. Like, it's just is, you know?
It's part of it.
Right. So I think it's more about just changing your philosophy.
Right.
I like that.
Forcing yourself to feel differently. It's like it's a push. It needs the push.
Because I think ultimately what you're talking about are the optics. You know, people are consumed with the optics of how they're coming across, what people think of them. Right. And what we need to be consumed is what are our optics of ourselves. It's what's more important what we think than
Not the Instagram feed.
Yeah,
Right.
yes, and
Exactly.
comments and all that bullshit and loud noise. It's more and more important to actually, you know, come from a place of self-love, which is a tricky phrase for me to say because it sounds very self-helpy, but I'm going to get on board with it because it's you.
Thank you.
But
I was going to say, I've never heard you say those
I
words
know, I don't
before.
think I've ever said them out
This is
loud.
a big moment, guys.
It really is.
Please jot it down.
But,
Someone take a picture fast.
But those are like, we have to focus on our optics of ourselves. That's the most important thing, is how we feel about ourselves, and then spread that like joy and light around.
Well, I mean, loving yourself is pretty important in the sense that your relationship with yourself is the longest one that you have in your life, right? At the beginning, your day starts with yourself and it ends with yourself.
And your ego isn't your best friend.
Your ego isn't your best friend? Okay, so I have that here, the healthy ego. Let's talk about the healthy ego for a second. Also, here's my question about the healthy ego. How about on the days when I am feeling myself and then I talk myself out of it? You're not that great. Why are you feeling so good about yourself? Why are we afraid to have a healthy ego and hold on to that positive?
Because women are trained to not, that's considered arrogant, too full of yourself, because I'm sorry to say, because of your gender. Because if you were a guy and you were in the room and you were confident, you were like, yeah, I got this one. I know this. I got this. I know how to do it better than anybody else in here. They would be like, yep, you're right, bro.
Give him the promotion.
But you know what? For a woman to do that, they're like, she's cocky and she's so full of herself. Yeah. And, you know, we get shamed for that. So that's why we took ourselves out of it. Like, I don't want to threaten other people. I mean, I'm sure you've had that, right?
No way. No way.
You know what I mean? I mean, I just actually want to say that there are so few women. You are, thank God, one of them.
You are like really carrying the torch,
We need you
sister.
because
We need
you are
bad.
one of the few women that I can look at, and I keep saying this to you as long as I've known you, you know, who is not afraid to be confident in your ability, your talent, your voice, what you have to say, what you have to contribute. And we all need those role models.
Right. You are seriously. I second that.
Let
and
it
third
in.
it. Let
Let
it
it
in.
in.
Feel it. Love yourself. Love yourself. Love it.
And by the
love
way,
it.
complimenting other women, and saying, I see you and I value you, and I really do appreciate what you add to the world. You know, I appreciate you telling your story. I appreciate a woman giving you a compliment, you know it's real. You know, it's like an amazing thing when a friend says to you, you look beautiful today. You know, that's for real.
It's that moment I'm talking about of like really sharing that, like empowering somebody else by walking in a room. And I think we're starting to really retrain ourselves where we see what we like in the person instead of what we maybe thought we were supposed to always pick somebody apart. There's a wave of recognizing the parts and qualities, whether it's a physical attribute or an emotional or personality attribute, and calling it out.
But how about walking into a room and thinking, what can I give as opposed to what can I get? You know what I mean? And again, it's not our fault. Media conditions us to think that there's only room for one of us to win. You know, this stupid programming like The Bachelor, where there's like 100, you know, amazing, awesome women, and one douchebag, generally, that they're all competing over, and he can have sex with all of them and not get called a slut. But if it was in reverse, do you know what I mean? So it's a competition culture. That needs to go.
Yeah, it's really
You know,
gotta go.
it's up to us to dismantle that.
And that's also accepting, you know, what is great in our lives and, you know, what we've accomplished, because that, I think, also if you, sometimes when you give a compliment to someone and they can't take it, you know, sometimes it's hard for me to take a compliment. I'm like, why did I just self-deprecate myself so much? Like, I did do a good job, and today was a good day, because I would be so apt to telling someone the same if they did something great. And so accepting that so that we can exude that and give it to others, and just think in that way that, like you said, like what can we give so that we can receive just the same, you know?
And by the way, you could say that to yourself. You could start the day by throwing yourself a compliment when you are smiling at yourself now in the morning. Thank you very much.
We're all gonna do that and say thank you,
It
Molly.
really works. I promise. It's a real
I'm
tip.
gonna wake up tomorrow and just smile at myself in the mirror and go, hey, Molly.
Yeah.
Every day.
Hey girl.
Molly.
Hey girl. I'll be right there. Hey girl. Right back at you.
That's an app you need to make.
Hey girl. Hey girl. Hey.
Tech opportunity,
Guys,
tech self-love
someone write it
opportunity.
down, please. Oh my God, somebody hurry. Somebody said something, I don't remember who, about the idea of not doing something 100%. I love the book, The 4 Agreements, John Miguel Ruiz. One of the 4 agreements is always do your best, but recognize that your best is going to be different from day to day. It depends if you're healthy versus if you're sick, if you're rested or if you're not rested. And the idea of it doesn't always have to be 100%. I think that I know for myself, if I haven't gotten through my checklist for the day, it's rewriting that story that I'm not a failure. I did my best today. This was my best today, and actually honoring that this whole idea of 100%, I don't know.
Yeah, who came up with
Who
that?
came
I
up
would
with
also
that?
appreciate if everybody stopped saying 100% all the time.
Yeah, yeah.
That's what everybody says now, and instead of totally, they go 100%, 100%. It's like,
I
shut
said
up,
that,
you
I
sound like
said
an
that
idiot.
twice today.
You did?
No, it catches like wildfire. Now everybody's saying it. Now it's 1,000%. People are saying that.
1,000%, yeah.
It's like,
Oh
what
my
does that
God.
mean?
It doesn't, and also, like, guess what? Sometimes 1 or 2 or 5 or 22% is all you've got in the day, and that is okay. And those, it shouldn't be a matter of, oh, let me not count. Everything should count. We should start allowing everything to count.
And maybe your best is like taking a siesta. Like, how many of us actually take a siesta throughout the day? It's
I
like,
need a siesta.
When I was living in New York, it's like all my friends are like, "What are you working on? What have you been up to?" Like, it has to be this like stimulated thing where you have no days off, and I feel like that's so lame. You know, like, why can't you just say, "Hey, yeah, I've just been hanging out for the week and like catching up on rest." Like,
Yeah,
I don't know.
self-care.
It's such a
That's
part of our
self-care.
culture that's
Sometimes
missing
self-care
out.
is to do nothing.
Oh yeah, I
is
mean,
to
you go
like-
to Italy, it's like, or anywhere in Europe, for the most part, it's like people, like, friends take time, families take time, they like eat together and have long lunches and like,
Connect.
yeah, and even the elders of the society, they're walking together, they're playing whatever board games that they play. It's just like slow culture in a
Slow
way,
culture.
and I think that's something that we're missing out on.
It's Shabbat for us.
Right.
Yeah,
we
right?
disconnect.
Yeah.
You know, disconnect.
You
So I
gotta
think that's
disconnect.
something like that we should try and
Incorporate more.
100% it.
100%.
1,000%.
1,000,000% on that. Okay. Last broad question. Any tips or tricks? Because like I said, I love a how-to. Thanks, guys. Any tips or tricks? You kind of mentioned you got up and you went on a hike and it kicked you into gear. Any other ways that you can ignite your own power and self-love? Go, Candace. Candace, go.
I know this is kind of corny, but I know every day, well, I try every day is to read affirmations. So I'll look in the mirror and I'm like, I love myself, or I look great today, or I'm gonna get this done, I'm gonna do that. I feel like that really gets your day going. You might not do everything you said you're gonna do, but at least you intentionally, you're like, I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna get that done. And then going off the last question, I just wanna say that it's okay to have bad days. I feel like those are needed. Especially if you're having a bad day, feel it and be in that, because the faster you get over it, the better. You just don't want to blow it off and be like, oh, I'm good.
I totally agree with that. I think if you're in a bad mood, lean into that bad mood.
Yes.
Go lock yourself in your house or your room or whatever and get it over with.
Yeah,
Because don't string it out.
Yeah, because
It lasts longer if you try to suppress it.
Exactly.
It's confined space and let it rip.
Right. It's like that. This too shall pass, but it's also okay to create the safe space to feel whatever you're feeling. It's okay to not be 100%. It's okay.
And it's okay to not always have things on your to-do list. Some days I would on the weekend I would just stay in my room and watch Harry Potter.
Yes,
That's cute.
It's okay.
But what we're talking about, and all these things are true. They're really important. We all know it. And yet when we go out of this room and back into our jobs, our communities, whatever it is, for the rest of the week, it's going to be so important to hold on to some of this, because our culture and most of our environments do not support this way of living and thinking and feeling and behaving.
Right.
So how do we hold on to something that has been said in the room tonight, because there's some real gems,
Yes.
I also want to add, the last question, I think creating your own ritual is so important. I wake up and I know I like to have pine pollen with hot lemon water, but then I have other weird quirks, that I think it's just creating that for yourself. Maybe before I go to bed, I always have rose water by me, and I have a dear friend that when she makes paintings, she burns rose incense and bathes in milk or whatever. What did Cleopatra
Yes.
do?
I want some of
you
that.
know what I mean? Those are our
Let's
things
have a girls' night in and do
Can you
that.
imagine taking a milk bath? I mean,
Sounds incredible.
that is so not my
Rose
reality.
milk.
That would never even cross my mind.
What about a vodka bath? Yeah.
I'm in a vodka bath constantly.
I love that. The ritual is a beautiful thing, and
It's so
finding
special.
things
Well,
that
it
you can
grounds you,
connect to.
right? It
Right.
grounds you and connects
Yeah.
you to yourself and whatever that is.
Right.
Vodka bath, milk bath,
Saying yes to yourself, not saying yes to everybody else,
Good
is so
one.
important. Saying no to people is okay, but saying yes to yourself for anything good, oh, fuck, I want to get my nails done today. Well, then go and do that. I want to stay and watch Harry Potter. I don't want to go to those 3 dinners I said yes to.
Right.
Or
Yes, it's okay. I don't want to do something. Yes, it's okay.
Yeah, no is a complete sentence. It's okay.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
All right. Well, guys, can we talk for another 4.5 hours? I think the important thing to remember, first of all, thank you all so from the bottom of my heart, from the bottom of my toes, for being here.
Thanks, Molly.
Thank you,
Thanks
Molly.
for having,
Yeah.
inviting us.
I want to just say on a final note that a little goes a long way. And I think keeping the conversation going is a little goes a long way. So just let the light in just a little bit for your own self-love, because I think we'll all be shocked at, little goes a long way.
But actually, that's what I love about your necklace that you made, because if you just look at that, the first thing you look, if you're wearing it and you look at yourself in the mirror, you're going to see that. It's going to be such a good reminder.
You're a sweetheart. It is a
True.
pay it forward message,
Let me just
too.
wrap it up for you.
Yeah, thank
and
you
bring
so
it
much.
back to why we're here.
Thank you so much, Amanda. Yes, love yourself. Wear it on your sleeve.
But
Wear
it's
it on
awesome.
your
It's
heart.
a great reminder. Look at that. Yeah.
Yeah, and then people who, then you're giving that gift. That's how you carry the torch. You wear the necklace. Someone's like, what's your necklace say? Oh, love yourself. Oh, that's a good idea.
Yeah, when's the last time I did that?
I'm going
Okay,
to try
good point.
it. Yeah. All right. Thank you. Thank you so much, you guys.
Thanks.
Thank you. All right, amazing. Am I supposed to say something else, guys? I don't know. Cue the